want to welcome everyone to the Learning Clinic on CKLU 96.7 FM. I'm your host, Bob Kerwin, and this afternoon we have a special show where we have 3 of the 4 candidates for the Ontario provincial election coming in from the Nickel Belt riding. And our 4th person will be Casey Lalonde from the Green Party at 3 o'clock. Starting off the afternoon is Franz Gelinas from the Ontario NDP party running in the Nickel Belt riding. Franz, welcome to Laurentian.
Always a pleasure.
Franz, we're going to try and give our listeners an opportunity to kind of hear the candidates wrap things up and kind of put the platform issues in a nice package,
Okay.
so that we can head down the home stretch, so to speak, since Thursday is
Yeah, it is
the
a home
day.
stretch.
And I think by now, everybody's pretty well explored their issues and their platforms and their positions, and we've heard the provincial leaders and all of the candidates from both the Sudbury and Nickel Belt riding. And if we were to say, kind of give us an overview of what the NDP truly stands for right now and what you want the voters to remember when they go out to vote on Thursday. Let's kind of go through the major points,
Okay.
and we'll see where we go with that conversation.
Sounds good, sounds good. So I would say the first point in our platform is job creation. And the main points to stimulate job is a job creation tax credit, as well as a manufacturing investment tax credit. So all 3 parties have some forms of credits in their platform. Ours are directly tied to job creation. So, and basically it works if you hire a new worker, you get up to $5,000 or 10%, whatever's the lowest, as a credit to you. So whether you pay income tax or not, your business may not be to the point where you're successful enough to have income and pay taxes. It doesn't matter, you will get the credit.
So it's based on the actual people that you hire.
Yes,
As
and it's after the fact. So the person has to be there, the payroll has to have been paid, and then when you file your income tax, you get a credit back.
Okay, so you can't really play many games with this one.
No. It's something that has been tried mainly in the States under President Obama, and it's basically, our platform has a 1% increase for the corporate tax rate. We have a decrease for the small business tax rate, but a 1% increase for the corporate tax rate. Corporate taxes in Ontario used to be around 16, went down to 14, are now at 11.5%. We are bringing them back up to 12.5%. For most corporations, it's going to be easy to pay, but for the corporations that are creating jobs, they'll be actually ahead. Although they'll pay 1% more on their taxable income, they may be able to get a few $1,000s back if they create employment.
So this is a better option than just giving tax reduction?
Well, we think so. When there has been significant tax reduction, remember we were at 16, we're now at 11.5. Those are billions of dollars of taxes that corporation never had to pay in Ontario. That's revenues that the provincial government never had because of those decisions that have been made. Economists are telling us that very few of them use those extra savings to hire more workers. They've basically paid down debts, bought back some of their own share, and a lot of them their bank account just skyrocketed. Like they really piled it in. It did not stimulate the economy. It did not do what we thought they would do. So now we're taking that equation out of the mix. You will not get your tax credit unless you create employment, or you invest into new manufacturing plants, or expansion right here in Sudbury, right here in Ontario, Sudbury, etc.
So a $50,000 job that you created would get you $5,000 back if you keep the person for the full year.
Correct.
Which is
You've done the math exactly right.
perfect.
You've done the math right.
Huge thing in Northern Ontario, this job creation. I mean, I imagine Southern Ontario is the same. It's just, we always figure that it's easier to get employment down in Southern Ontario, but I know in the Sudbury area, we've always placed a high priority on job creation, especially for our youth.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So for a lot of first-time, workers entering the workforce, but if you go a little bit outside of Sudbury, in places like Alban or Gogama or Folliet or Nickel Belt is big, then unemployment in those places are really high.
That's really high.
Another piece that we have to our job creation is a emergent industry fund. And we think that the people in the north may be the great beneficiary of that special fund. And it could be used by the arts, it could be used by forestry, it could be used, so anybody going into biomass to create energy, anybody starting up a small business in Northern Ontario that is not typical, or finding new value added way to use the wood, the minerals, the resources, the natural resources we have in Northern Ontario, they would all qualify for that fund. And that fund is really, you start something new, or your business starts to invest in something that you haven't been doing before, or you go from small business to a medium to a bigger one, then that fund is accessible to you, and it's really to create new opportunity in diverse place in our province. So we see mainly the north and rural will benefit from that emergent. But on the arts side, it could be anywhere. It could be in big centers as well.
So it's really, it's a stimulus.
It's a
package.
stimulus package, but it's focused on
New initiatives.
new initiative, etc. So whether it's with animations, with computer animations and arts, if there's never been a studio someplace and they will start to do this, or they will start a touring company, or they'll put anything that did not exist in your community before would be available, and for young entrepreneurs. And you'd be surprised, in Northern Ontario, the entrepreneurial spirit is really strong. People have ideas, people are not afraid of taking risk, people are not afraid of putting in long days and working hard, and sometimes with a little bit of help, that is, like enough money to get you started, then you can do great things, and this is what we hope to see with that fund.
It's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What's another area that's getting a lot of attention out there?
The second one is to, basically what I call pocketbook issues, is to help people make ends meet, making life a little bit more affordable than it was before. So the first one is taking the HST, the provincial portion of the HST, off of your hydro bill. This was put on by the Liberal on July 1st, 2012. We were opposed to it at the time. We don't think that home electricity should be taxed for too many people, and especially in Northern Ontario. It is a necessity. It is not like you have a whole lot of choice of saying, oh, I'm just gonna, turn the breaker off and go off the grid. We have no choice. So we consider electricity a necessity. We still want to invest, and we have a fund to invest in home retrofit. As well as encourage a solar panel on people's individual property, as well as taking the provincial portion of the HST off of your hydro bill.
How much is that?
It comes to an average of $120 for your average family. So if we take all of the individual bills and it's about $120.
So my understanding is that requires federal approval or federal, a federal agreement?
No.
No?
The HST is now with the feds, and the agreement needs to be renegotiated. The agreement will be renegotiated in 2015.
Okay.
But besides this, the province gets to decide what they want to exclude. So, for example,
Okay.
in our province, if you go and buy kids' clothes or kids' shoes right now, there is no tax on it.
Oh, so it was the province that decided that?
That's the province that decided that. If you go and buy books for school, there is no tax on this. It's the province that decided that. It's the province that decide what will be excluded.
Okay.
And that will be one of, we made a societal choice when we decided that kids' clothing and shoes would not be taxed. Same thing with your food. In some places, they tax the food, in Ontario, we don't. So those are choices that Ontario have made. We would add to that list home energy,
Good.
home electricity.
Good.
So first, take the tax off. Second, the debt retirement charge. This has been there since.
I'd like to see that get taken off my.
Yeah, no kidding, no kidding. It's been there for a long time.
That's a lot.
This is an average of about $70 per
Mhm.
average household, and that also would be gone. So it would be a saving of $190 a year.
So a house that has electric heat like mine.
Would
it's
be
quite-
2-3 times
quite
that
a bit
amount,
more.
2-3 times that amount,
Well, that's good.
yeah.
And you got a few other little areas that you're looking at?
Yeah, so that's one, to help people make ends meet. The second one is auto insurance.
Okay.
I don't know if you've noticed when you renewed your auto insurance, but there has been some significant changes to your coverage. So if you stayed with basic auto insurance, it's a lot harder to get catastrophic. If you are in an accident, you used to have $50,000 for rehabilitation, it's now down to 25. There's been a lot of downsizing of the type of benefits that people get through basic auto insurance that generated about $2 billion worth of savings to the industry. Those savings were supposed to be passed on to the consumers and were not. Given that the government, auto insurance is the only good that the government forces you to buy. You have no choice in Ontario. If you want to drive, you have to have auto insurance. The province forces you to buy it. So the forces of the markets don't apply, because if people were left to decide whether they want auto insurance or not, a lot of people would not get it. A lot of people, in other provinces, like over 50% of the people don't have auto insurance because it's not mandatory. All this to tell,
Really?
yeah, all this to tell you that because we force you to buy these products, we get to regulate the industry. So we will regulate the passing on of those savings. So here again, if you do average, it comes down to about 15% less. I looked for Sudbury and Nickel Belt, we're right at average. Some areas will see bigger decreases and some will see smaller. For Sudbury Nickel Belt, we will be in the average of 15% less on your auto insurance. Here again, low steps to try to make life more affordable. The third, so the first one was job creation, second, making life more affordable. The third one is really to respect your tax dollar. A lot of people are turned off of politics and paint every party, every politician, and if it starts with a P, we all get painted with the same brush.
You think?
Yeah, I do. I've knocked on a lot of doors and I've heard it many times. You know, like $1.1 billion on the gas scandal, then $1 billion on e-health that never brought us.
There are no small numbers, are there?
No, and hundreds of millions at Orange. Those are, you know, like, those are wrong, those are horrible, those should never have happened. So the first thing we would do is put the Financial Accountability Office in. So before the government can sign off on something like this, the Financial Accountability Office will have to check the numbers. So as much as we have the Auditor General for the province, who does phenomenal work, we have a new one, she does very, very good work at seeing after the fact what has gone wrong. The Financial Accountability Office will be before the fact. So as we start to work on the bill, as the government intends to sign off anything that has to do with taxpayers' money, there will be a neutral filter that will look at it. And we will implement a ministry of savings, so that if there are opportunities to save money in different ministries, this ministry will be tasked for finding it. So, no promises of 100,000 job cuts or anything like this, but a promise to look at all of the different ministries to see if there are maybe technological opportunities that have generated savings but were never passed on, look at all of that.
So I know that's going to mean that there could be a reduction in the number of people that are working in the government, but you don't have any hard, fast, you're not looking at cutting people. It's if there's a way of saving because you don't need as many people to provide the services, then I guess everybody talks about attrition with the baby boomers getting older, you just don't replace them, but
We
but
really look.
you can't even predict that, can you?
No, so we look at this as a promise to have a minister of savings, to have a team of people within the government that looks at what can we do better,
Yeah.
what can we do more efficiently and cheaper.
I know that I'm young and naive, but shouldn't that stuff all have been done?
You would be surprised. I sit on public accounts, so I get to review the work that the Auditor General has done. And the work that they've done show us things that makes no sense. I'll always remember when she tabled, it was a he at the time, when he tabled his report on assistive devices program. A very good program. If you have a disability in Ontario that you need a wheelchair, or you're blind, you need a big screen, or they pay up to 75% of the cost of the goods. Well, the system was so slow in reviewing its prices that so let's say you can type, so you would be allowed to have a voice-activated computer who would do that for you. Or if you're blind, software that speaks to you rather than read because you can't read, because you're blind. So the prices were still like in a $6,000 for a computer, when really you could go to Radio Shack or wherever you want, doesn't exist anymore, but
Yeah.
you could go to the Source, or you could go to Future Shop or anywhere and get the exact same computer with the same software for $800.
So who was getting these deals?
The people who were selling the computers, they
Really?
really like blind people coming in and buying their stuff.
I guess,
Yeah, because the government would reimburse them
to that amount.
to that amount.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and it's like, really, like nobody clued in, nobody told us? And it took the Auditor General to come in. There was a mega cleanup that was done in there that generated hundreds of millions of dollars in savings in something that, really, like we couldn't have done this sooner?
Something that a receptionist could have pointed out.
Yeah, that everybody knew, but that nobody was doing.
Okay.
Yeah, so
So that makes sense, that there could be some significant savings with the Ministry
There-
of Savings then.
yeah, there could be some significant savings. Same thing with, that was the same example where a brand new $5,000 electric wheelchair and the person passed. And the thing is brand new, like it's 2 weeks old or it's 2 months old, and then $5,000 goes to the to the heaping pile. No, bring it back, refurbish it, and sure, you need a new cushion and you need to make sure that it's sterilized and clean. But really, the battery, the wheels,
It's
the
not
wheel.
$5,000.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, no,
Exactly.
that makes sense. That's-
So there are savings to be had.
So, and it doesn't necessarily mean there's gonna be job loss.
Not necessarily, no, not necessarily. The government pays for a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Interesting, sounds like.
Yeah, so, so respect your tax dollars was
Yeah.
3. And then the focus is really on the priorities that the people have told us since the beginning, which is healthcare and education.
And you know, interesting, I've seen a couple of surveys in the last little while where they rank education and healthcare really low in the surveys. And yet, it seems like traditionally, they've always been 1 and 2. Are people more satisfied with health and education now as in terms of their services, or is it just that these surveys are not really valid because they're ranking them so low?
I would say a bit of everything.
Okay.
I would say a bit of everything. We have an excellent healthcare system.
Yeah.
Some pieces of it are broken, but all
Yeah.
in all, we have an excellent
It
healthcare
has to be a
system.
pretty high priority with the amount of money you're putting into it.
Yeah, $50 billion a year buys you a lot of hours of many things.
And that makes you number 1 priority.
And that makes it your number one priority. Same thing with education. We have a fairly good education system, from, from.
I agree.
Yeah, we have a fairly good education system. But those are still priorities, as in, things change, nothing is static. The way that you and I were taught in school is very different from the way the kids are being taught right now. The computer in the classroom, when I was in elementary school, I didn't even know what a computer was. Now, it's rare to see an 8-year-old that doesn't have at least one piece of technology that they own, that they know how to use, that if 14 years old kids were able to go into a Bank of Montreal ATM and hack into it on their lunchtime.
I know, it's frightening.
Then, so things are changing. So the idea is really to continue to focus on the 2 priorities of the provincial government, which is healthcare and education. So our priority for us is continue to give equitable access to all. There is still 900,000 Ontarians that don't have access. I have 30,000 of them in Nickel Belt that don't have a family physician or a nurse practitioner. A lot of them are older, frail, have a number of chronic conditions, takes a number of pills, and depends on walk-in clinic, which is the worst care ever. So need to do better in improving access. Also make a change in home care, which is the part of our excellent healthcare system that is not working so well. And in education, here again, looking at the pocketbook issues, we are number 10, as in we are at the bottom of the pile when it comes to how much money students spend on post-secondary education. So whether you look at college or university, the tuitions are the highest in Ontario of all 10 provinces, and the people graduating or finishing or quitting university or college end up with the biggest debts. So 2 things, a little step in the right direction, we will freeze tuition at what it is now. So we'll still be number 10 for a number of years, but as everybody else keeps going up, at some point we will catch up. And second is we will take the interest payment off of the student loans, so that when comes time to pay back your debt, you will still have a debt that you will have to manage and pay. But as long as you stay in good standing paying back your debt, we will pick up the interest payment on that debt to help young people make the transitions from being in school to being in the workplace. And
Is that something that the provincial government can do on their own? Or is it
Yes.
something you have to have the banks agreement with, because aren't the banks the ones lending the student loans?
Yes, but the student loans are, there are many student loans, so I'm talking about provincial student loans. So you've applied through OSAP. OSAP has agreed to give you a loan. The whole time you go to school, you don't have to make payment on the
Right.
loans, and who do you think pay that? The banks don't give that out
I know.
out of the goodness of their heart. The
Yeah.
government is paying that. So they will continue,
So the government will look after the interest.
yeah, like they do when you're in school, you see, let's say you got $5,000 loan, there's interest payment on that loan. As long as you're in school, the government pays the interest for you. They will continue to do this, the debt will still be yours. So, kind of a step in the right direction to help you make ends meet and to help young people with starting a new job and starting a family and getting their foot into the workplace on a little bit of a steadier
Yeah.
footing.
No, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Are there any local issues that are kind of crossing I guess the divide between municipal and provincial and federal, that you've seen that you've had to almost explain and provide an education to show that it's not always a provincial jurisdiction? Have you come across any of those?
Absolutely. I mean, everybody has talked about Maley Drive.
Right, okay.
Like, when we hear, like they will invest 57 millions to have a truck dedicated, slurry truck dedicated road, Maley Drive extension, I can't help but laugh. If they want a dedicated road, let them build it. Why should my taxes pay
I've heard that.
for a company to have their own road? If they want their own road, they can pay for it. But this is something that is certainly a partnership between the municipal government, who decide what are the priorities for their municipality, the provincial government and the federal government that comes to the table with infrastructure money. Infrastructure is the biggest piece in our budget. It's $29 billion that we have earmarked for infrastructure, and that's everything. That's helping municipalities with sewer, water, roads, electricity, etc. Everything that is infrastructure. As well, that includes infrastructure to develop the Ring of Fire, because you remember when you and I talked, I made it clear that for an NDP government, we see a government role in developing infrastructure. Our country, our province, the country was developed when the government decided to pay for a railroad that would be coast to coast. And same thing happened in Ontario when the provincial government, same thing will happen to develop the Ring of Fire. As a government, we have a responsibility toward infrastructure. So whether we talk road, we talk energy, we talk sewage, water, those are all government responsibility, and an NDP government would take their responsibility to make sure that this is developed and that it benefits the people who live there. I have visited most of the fly-in only First Nations in Northern Ontario, and they're all on diesel to generate power. You know how noisy, polluting, and expensive it is to be on diesel for your energy needs, plus lots of brownout, blackouts, and all the rest of this. Really hard, when really the possibility of hydro energy is there, if only we could work with this and connect them to the grid, connect as many people to the grid as possible. It is a game changer. So is a all-season road or railway is a game changer to people who live there. Yes, we will take our responsibility. We have $29 billion for infrastructure, and lots of this will be partnerships. So a long-winded answer to your question.
No, no, there's no such thing as a long-winded answer. And that's why I like this forum, because there's no real time frame, like whatever it takes to explain, you need it.
Mhm.
Have people gotten over, or have they understood that really nobody is to be blamed for causing the election? Or are you running into that a little bit?
Not really. Every now and again, I would say I've heard it maybe 3 times knocking on doors, and they're usually people who are not NDP and want to have a reason to let you know that they don't like the NDP. But if they take the time to listen, people understand.
So they understand what the process was.
Yeah, what the process was. The second thing I hear at the door lots is the price of gas. When the price of gas went to $1.44 in Sudbury,
Yeah, that was a shock.
and was still at $1.29 in Sturgeon Falls, plus then you kept on going to Manitoulin Island, and it's $1.34 on Manitoulin Island, people know that they're being gouged. They know that this is not right, and they know that something is wrong, and they wish for somebody to step in. We're putting forward something that we've been advocating for a long time, is a weekly cap on the price of gas. So Nova Scotia was the first province who started that, and it brings a level of stability. Over time, it brings prices down, but there is no rhyme or reason why Sturgeon Fall can sell its gas at $1.29 and that we pay $1.44. And we pay $1.44 because people here in Nickel Belt, we drive long distance to go to work. So if you're working, you have money, you need to get there, you will pay what the market will bear. And the gas stations know this, and they increase the prices. There's no reason for this. We're being gouged more and more. Gas is becoming a necessity of life. If you can't make it to daycare, to work, to appointments, most parts of Nickel Belt we have no public transit, then the government has a mandate to step in. So here again, a low step, cap it at, if it was to be capped at $1.34 right now, the Sudbury stations would still make a profit. Sturgeon Fall can continue to sell at $1.29, but we would still be 10 cents a liter ahead of where we are now.
Yeah. And really, all you have to do is designate one service station, like Petro-Canada or SE. You just pick one and make them sell at the cap. Everybody else would follow.
That's
You just
exactly.
have to pick one.
Yeah, and as I said, Nova Scotia was the first one. They look at the price of crude, they look at, like the forces of the industry, and there's, the petroleum industry is a lot stronger in Nova Scotia because of Irving and all of this, so, and they've looked.
Fair level.
Yeah, and they set it at a fair level. They still have a few gas stations that, for reason of their own, decides to sell below the cap. But you're not gonna go into a Lowell village and end up being 10 cents over. The price is the same throughout Nova Scotia, and every now and again, there's a stations that advertise they're below cap. Good for them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Are you, I don't wanna say disappointed, but are you surprised with the interest level?
At the door,
And
people are interested. We had a debate last Thursday night, and I was surprised with how few people came out. Mind you, the day before had been a tremendous rainstorm, and the day off was beautiful. It was a very nice night, so I could see where people would have had other priorities. But the people that were there, I thought, asked good questions.
But you were saying that when you went around afterwards, you discovered a lot of people saw that.
Yes, a lot of people followed it. I don't know if they followed it online or if they watch it online afterward, because I got a lot of chuckle at the door, kind of, well, I was looking for your orange suit, how come you were in pink? So I knew that they had seen it.
Yeah.
And it's not just a clip from the radio or something else that had played it, they had actually seen it, because they made jokes about me not wearing orange, which I wear lots during the campaign.
Right.
And they also would ask questions about, like, oh, Mr. Blaze said that, or Mr. Strigoning said that, and questions about what had been going on at the debate. But what I also got out of people that watched it is how come there was no question on healthcare, and how come they was so low on education. The answer to this is that it was a Chamber of Commerce debate, so the Chamber's priorities are, like red tape and business and the economy, which is what we focused on, which was fine. I mean, we knew this when we went in, but people are still interested in those issues. They're still interested in healthcare. Home care is a big one in my riding, and so is education. With all of the small schools that have closed are all in my riding. It is Capriol that closes, and Lone Lac that closes, and Our Lady of Fatima in Naughton, and then Alba. All of the schools in Nickel Belt closed to bring kids closer and closer to Sudbury. So kids, school closures is a big issue. And wherever there's a review of a school, parents are nervous because they know review leads to
Yeah, there's usually something that comes out of a review.
some things being closed. This is one thing that is also in the NDP platform, and we call it our Healthy School Fund. And that's $35 million a year to make sure that we don't close any more community schools, that if possible, the school would become a community hub. So I can give the example of Long Lac and Naughton, both in my writing. Naughton now does not have a community center anymore because it used to be the school. I remember playing badminton actually there after school, etc. Once the building is sold, and same thing with Long Lac, they, like they don't have a place to gather anymore.
No, you use that community center, it's,
Long Lake is a community of its own. A lot of family have lived there, and they're second generation, and that was the place where they gathered. And now Long Lake residents have very low places to gather, and you lose this community spirit. And this is what makes a healthy community. People get to know one another, they get to know their neighbors, they get.
makes a healthy province too.
It makes a healthy province too, and we have seen too many of those communities after communities losing their schools. So we are investing in keeping those schools open. The school board will have to have negotiations directly with the province on this, and the community. If the community is ready to play their part, the provincial government will help keeping smaller school open to serve the community interest, that we call it. Not only the kids that go to school there, but if they are not-for-profit groups that are interested, or parents association, or just a bunch of neighbors who want to go shoot hoops or play badminton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Last 5 minutes, anything that you wanna sum up that we've missed or wrap up?
I would say the people of Ontario will get the best government possible if everybody goes to the poll, if everybody goes and vote. This year, for the first time, Election Ontario had brought a number of changes. The first one was that advance poll went on for a full week, so you had 7 days of advance poll, and you could vote anywhere in your riding. So you lived in Handler but happened to go by the poll in Chelmsford, or one night you were at your in-laws in Walden, and that's for every riding. So people could vote anywhere, and a much longer advance poll. So I hope we will know on Saturday how many people, actually, we should have got the numbers on last Saturday, I haven't looked at them yet, to see how many people took advantage of that. And now the election, if you don't know where you vote, you can call a candidate, you can call Election Ontario, but everybody will vote from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. So it's really to try to get as many people out to vote as possible. This is how we get the best government possible.
So that's why when you vote, you're signing a declaration that you've only voted once?
Yes.
It's okay. It's interesting. So I guess the last few days of the campaign is just continue doing what you've been doing. I guess most of the debates are over. It's just the last little flurry of.
Yeah, but you'd be surprised how many people make up their minds in the last 2 days,
I wouldn't be surprised. No.
or on their way to the poll.
I know, it's,
And there's more and more misinformation out there now. Like I get to the door and, the NDP wants to get rid of 100,000 jobs. No, that's the PC wants to do this, it's not the NDP. And so they're just starting to get engaged and find out. I would say everybody has a good website now. Go on the website, come on to the website of your show, you have posted all of the platform. I encourage people to get involved, and if it doesn't make sense to you, trust your good judgment, it's probably not right.
And I don't know if it's just because we're northerners, but I haven't noticed in the nickel belt riding anyway, the personality attacks among the candidates that you're hearing all over the place. It seems like it's a matter of trying to decide who not to vote for,
Yeah.
rather than who to vote for. It must be, I don't know, like I say, in the nickel belt, I haven't seen the personal attacks. It's basically been about the issues, and it's.
You're right.
I mean, it's nice to see.
Absolutely. I don't know why, I know why they do personal attacks, they work. Every time
Yeah, I know,
they have been
unfortunately.
tried in the past, as much as people hate them, they work. They
Yeah.
paint people and they box people and they work. I can't stand this, I can't stand this. I have been in the House for 6.5 years, I have never screamed, I've never shouted, I stand up, I get recognized, I say what I have to say. I think I have been, like a good voice bringing the issue of nickel belt. But this idea that you will scream at the top of your lungs, no, you're not gonna be better heard because you start to scream, I don't like this, I don't do this. But I know that in Sudbury they've started doing that, and to me, it brings us all down. When people paint every politician's the same color, that's because of those kind of behavior. Like, when was the last time you scream at the top of your lungs to one of your coworker? You don't do this at work. Well, in my workplace, they do this every day. They do this every day. They say things that I would not say to my dog.
Yeah.
And they scream it out loud for the radio and the television to pick up.
Yeah, they pick it up.
And they pick it up and they make the top of the news. I will never make the top of the news. Never, because I will never do that.
That's a good place, I guess, to end and let you get back out on the trail, put your running shoes on, and
Absolutely. I'm in sandals now, but
Yeah.
good walking sandals.
good walking sandals. And enjoy the rest of the week. Yeah, we'll see what happens on Thursday. And,
We'll do.
And like I said, I'm pleased that, and we've got James Trigani coming in after you, we've got Mark Blake coming in, and it was nice watching everybody at the debate and watching everybody during this very quick time period. At least in the nickel belt, everything seems to be, it's about the issues, it's not about the people, and the more educated people are, the more informed the vote's gonna be.
Yeah, and the better off we will be. And if anybody wants to come to, which I hope will be my victory party, it's at Pluckers in Balcarron.
Pluckers in Balcarron, they just put a new outdoor patio
Yeah.
to commemorate the occasion, I
Yes,
guess.
everybody's welcome. Hopefully it'll be victory, otherwise it will be, it'll still be happy.
Well, it'll be what the people's choice is, and I guess as a resident of Nickel Belt in Ontario, that's all you can hope for.
Yeah.
The people make the choice.
Oh, yeah, and the people are never wrong.
People are never wrong.
Mhm.
Franz Gelinas, thank you. Franz Gelina, thank you very much for coming in. Ontario NDP party candidate in Nickel Belt, and ask everyone to stay tuned. At 1 o'clock, we have James Trigani with the Liberal Party coming in, and we're going to be doing the same type of show, just having a chat and wrapping things up. So good luck, Franz. We'll
Thank
maybe
you
see
so
you at
much.
Pluckers.
All right,
Take care.
bye.